On this, the 25th anniversary of River Phoenix's death, let us remember her on this Halloween. Tragic tales are nothing new to Hollywood, but certain losses really rock the business. She began yelling at the man accompanying him, demanding to know what had transpired, and the man turned to her, essentially telling her to desist, claiming that she was embarrassing him. On October 31, 1993, there was a particularly tragedy night. Samantha claims that she was told by someone that he breathed his last breath on the sidewalk of Sunset Boulevard. Johnny Depp's Viper Room was partially owned by River Phoenix, a budding star, when Phoenix slumped outside. Hollywood was devastated by his unexpected death, and Depp has been remarkably quiet about the tragedy for decades. At 61 years of age, I am now. Throughout history, Americans have been terribly portrayed in. I saw it as a chance to completely change the meaning of that cliché. Johnny Depp has broken his silence at long last. The Viper Room night that will never be forgotten. After dark on the 30th of October, 1993. As always, the Viper Room on Sunset Strip in Hollywood was hopping. It was common for Depp and his pals to put on spontaneous musical performances at the club, which was famous as a hangout for artists. It was not how I would have dealt with it. My reaction would have been extreme, I believe. With the intention of unwinding after a string of hectic days, the promising young actor River Phoenix, his siblings Joaquin, Rain, and Samantha Mathis, as well as their girlfriend, made their way to the club that night. Rivers entered the club with an air of exhaustion, because many people saw it as more than just a River Phoenix, despite his unfalteringly upbeat and composed personality. His girlfriend Samantha Mathis, an actress, is speaking out publicly for the first time since his untimely death. In retrospect, Samantha noticed that he seemed to be carrying about an unseen burden. It was clear that the stresses of his personal life and his rising stardom had taken a toll on him. In an effort to assuage his loved one's fears, River maintained his customary smile despite his inner turmoil. Even though the club was bustling with activity, Samantha sensed an ominous threat that she couldn't put her finger on. Tragic events unfolded rapidly as the night progressed. River abruptly left the club in the wee hours of October 31st, stating he was sick. The people closest to him sensed something was wrong, but they were unable to stop him. Just moments after that, Joaquin and Rain were taken aback when River passed out outside the club. At the age of 19, Joaquin contacted emergency services, his voice quivering with fear as he relayed the news of his brother's condition. As River gasped for air, onlookers and clubgoers crowded around. Nothing could save him, no matter how desperately they tried to revive him. Paramedics arrived, but River was already unconscious. He was taken to the hospital immediately, and doctors pronounced him dead a few hours later. Acute drug intoxication, namely the fatal combination of heroin and cocaine, was the cause of River's death, according to the coroner's findings. Both his loved ones and his devoted fan base were deeply saddened by this dreadful news. There was complete quiet in the Viper Room following the disaster. As a co-owner, Johnny Depp ordered the club to close for a few days. Going forward, the club observed a strict no-event policy on October 31st to pay tribute to River. Although he is notoriously outgoing, Depp kept mum about what happened that night for years out of consideration for the Phoenix family's tremendous loss. Even though Samantha said afterwards that she hadn't witnessed River do drugs that night, she still wasn't certain on what transpired leading up to their arrival at the club. It inspired him to become an actor, partly so he could carry on River's work. The memory of River Phoenix endures, not just as an eminent actress, but also as a representation of the vulnerability concealed behind the glitter of Hollywood. His life is an example of how the glitter of celebrity can quickly turn to darkness for those who aren't ready to face it. He stepped into the restroom, and upon his return, Samantha witnessed a bouncer essentially removing him from the club. It seemed like he had truly gotten into a fight to her at the moment. Observed his convulsions on the floor only after she stepped outside. The entertainment industry was horrified by River's death and made Hollywood face unpleasant realities. The news was so shocking that it spread like wildfire. Leonardo DiCaprio, who was just starting out in his career, and Keanu Reeves, who played River in My Own Private Idaho, were among those who were deeply saddened by the news of the death. Harrison Ford and River's previous collaborators on Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade both shared their condolences. The tragic loss of River served as a sobering reminder of the perils of celebrity and prompted Hollywood to examine its toxic culture, which is plagued by excessive partying, drug usage, and pressures. This led to calls for improved mental health services and safety nets for young actors. Although these improvements were implemented, many still believed that the entertainment sector had failed to tackle the underlying issue. The weight of celebrity continued to weigh heavily, and the seedier parts of Hollywood were still mainly disregarded. The independent film scene was left empty when Rivers passed. He had been an early trailblazer in popularizing this subgenre. Who am I to say? I just don't think I'm capable of being. His portrayal in the film My Own Private Idaho was more than just impressive. He had proven time and again that he could elevate ordinary narratives to the level of epic film. Along with the loss of a brilliant actor, directors like Gus Van Sant lamented the multitude of unrealized creative projects that River had the potential to realize. Joaquin Phoenix's brother's death deeply affected him emotionally. He didn't get well for a long time. Unfortunately, Joaquin's career took a dramatic turn after Rivers' death. With each accomplishment, he paid tribute to his brother's memory. Joaquin frequently cites River as an influence on his decision to become an actor. Even though we were unaware of it, the entertainment publications in our house promoted Rivers' career as a major actor and movie star. In addition, he always brings his brother's heritage to his roles. Everyone, not just those in the entertainment industry, started to reevaluate the demands placed on young stars after Rivers' death. People are attempting to sneak onto your farm, and there are helicopters flying over as well. It seemed to me that it was a hindrance to the grieving process, wasn't it? They were perceived as mere human beings, not as inviolable symbols, but as individuals coping with incomprehensible stresses. The media came under fire for adding to the unseen stresses that celebrities experienced, since it had frequently capitalized on their private lives. Witnessing Rivers' untimely demise brought the human cost of celebrity into sharp focus. Even after all this time has passed, River Phoenix's exceptional talent, caring personality, and principles are still talked about. Both his on-screen and off-screen accomplishments have left an indelible mark on Hollywood and continue to motivate viewers of all ages. A promising career came to an end with his death. It taught Hollywood and the general public a hard lesson about the real cost of celebrity and the significance of showing compassion and support to individuals who become famous. Johnny Depp is still haunted by the loss, even after all these years. River was a young man with high principles and a spotless reputation. How did he become caught up in the drug trade? Was he driven to this decision by the immense strain of fame? On the other hand, was he secretly dealing with something more profound? We will discover the surprising revelation of Johnny Depp. After keeping nothing for a long time, Johnny Depp has spoken out about the fateful night that killed River Phoenix. Depp started off a recent interview by praising River for her outstanding personality and incredible talent. Both in his professional and personal life, he said, "River radiates warmth and light. His aura was one of warmth, intelligence, and depth, which Depp said was unusual for someone so young. The moment you met him, you could tell he was special." Talking about that tragic night at the Viper Room, Depp said that thinking about it still makes him very sad. He went on to say that River was more than simply a friend of his. To him, he was like a younger brother in show business. According to Depp, nobody could have foreseen the terrible twist that fateful night. An unspeakable tragedy befell the gathering of friends for what was meant to be a tranquil evening of music and relaxation. Depp relived the overwhelming sense of powerlessness he felt upon seeing River lifeless on the sidewalk. "All I could think about was how I wished I could turn back time and do anything to prevent what happened," Depp shared. "It was a memory that still